Good morning, YouTube. The task for today, we're going to replace some front upper control arms and bushings on this 2001 Jeep Grand Cherokee right here. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get the Jeep up in the air. That way the front axle drops down a little bit and we'll have access to those front bushings. I anticipate this being a pretty simple job, but we'll see how it goes. I'll set the camera up. Stay tuned and we'll get this job done. Alright then, you've got your Jeep up in the air. You want to raise both sides of the Jeep and support it on jack stands. And you want to do it from the frame, not from the axle or the suspension, because you want the suspension to drop down so you have more access to right there where the bushing presses into the axle. And I'll come around this way so you can get a better view of that. So this is what I'm talking about right here, where that bushing, because that tucks up into between the engine and the suspension. You can't really get to it if it's on the ground, so you got to raise it up a little bit, support everything on jack stands. This looks like it's going to be a pretty straightforward process. That is a Torx socket right there that you're going to need to take that out. You're going to remove that one bolt, and then you're going to come around to the side, and you've got a little access port here. There will be this business in there. You got to just pop that out. I'm not sure what that size is yet. I haven't gotten to that, but basically just remove those two bolts, and then you're going to have to pop this bushing out. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and set this camera up to where you can see most of what I'm doing, but I'm going to focus on getting that bushing out and back in, because that's going to be the hardest part. Okay, so be aware, just to make things a bit more interesting, it seems that Chrysler and or Jeep has decided to make that other nut that you reach through the access port, it's got this little business going on. Now this tab kind of keeps the nut from spinning a little bit. There we go, I think that's a little better. So if you keep it pressed up against here like this, which is counterintuitive to, you know, pushing on the bolt as you're loosening it, then it will keep it from spinning. However, I think I'm just going to put a wrench on it. But you can see here that this this whole arm, once those two bolts are out, it comes off pretty easily. The tough part is going to be pressing out this daggone bushing right here. But we'll address that in a minute. First, let's get this arm out of here. I just wanted to show you this mechanism going on back behind here, so if you're trying to loosen it and it's giving you some trouble, that's why. So you might want to get underneath, put the wrench on one side, put another wrench on the other side, and get this thing out. Okay, so here you can see the setup that I have to press the ball joint back in. Or not ball joint, I'm sorry. This is a ball joint press that I got from the local auto parts store, Advanced Auto Parts. You can rent these, I think it's $160 something, and they return your $160 when you bring their tool back. So this is getting a little tricky. There's not a lot of room to work over here. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to be able to use my impact wrench, but this thing is actually making contact with the oil pan, so I'm going to have to use an opened-in wrench or something and turn it. It's not going to be a good time, but I just wanted to show you the setup. I guess I can keep the video rolling while I do it so you can watch me struggle and laugh. But one thing you want to make sure that you do is find something that's the right width to go right here between these two pieces of metal on the axle, Because if you start to start pressing this thing in and there's nothing there, what's going to happen is this side is going to push in and this is going to be pushing on this piece, and it's going to squeeze it together, and then you're going to mess up your axle here. And you don't want to do that, or at least I don't want to do that, because then you have to take it back out, bend it back straight, and you know, once you start bending up metal and bending it back and all that stuff, you start to weaken the metal. I don't want to do that to my axle. So make sure that you put something in here that's the right space. You want to make sure it fits in there nice and snug, so it's not going to get compressed as you're pushing this bushing back in place. So let's do it. Alright, so after probably about an hour of fidgeting around, which is not ideal, but I ended up getting, well, you can't see there, sorry about the blurriness, but I ended up getting the new bushing pressed in. What I ended up having to do was go ahead and release the other side bolt right there to get the suspension to drop down a little further, and then I had to go to my upper strut mounts up inside the engine compartment and loosen those. I didn't take them all the way out, but I loosened them, and what that did was that gave me more clearance right here, because that business was hitting the oil pan and it wasn't allowing for a straight line shot push on the bushing. But I was able to get it to drop down and able to get it in. Now, even though I had the wrench there, this was trying to push in right here. So what I did was I would press it a little bit and take my air chisel and just kind of bend this back. And that doesn't seem like the best way to do it, but it did work. The bushing is in. I'll go ahead and remove the tooling and show you that everything is in place the way it's supposed to be. Okay, everybody, so actually the passenger side is going to be a whole lot easier than the driver's side, because the oil pan's not in the way and I can get my daggone impact wrench in here. So once you get everything set up, make sure you get your little 13mm or whatever size wrench you're using in here to keep it from crushing it, and zip this bad boy in place. And that's it. Zip this back out, fold over your tabs, and you're ready to put your new upper A-arms in place. Okay, so we've got everything pressed into place. The next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and fold over these tabs like it was before, like in 2 different spots. That way, you know, it doesn't want to back out. The way I'm going to do that is ever so gently with my air chisel. Again, a really handy tool. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fold that over. Now from here, I'm going to go ahead and do my other side. And then when I'm ready to bolt these front bolts back up, because that's going to be the hard part, because obviously these bolts here, the suspension has rolled forward a little bit like this. So what you're going to have to do is use your jack to lift your axle back up into position a little bit, and then you may have to use like a little ratchet strap or something and put it on here, and then maybe tie it to the transmission crossmember and just give it a few good ratchets until the bolt holes line up. But other than that, it's just a matter of bolting your new upper arm in position and you're ready to roll. So I thank you very much for watching. Actually, before I wrap up, I'll go ahead and put all the new parts in so you can see that I have actually achieved that, and I will show you what I got. Alright, so I tried to keep the camera rolling as I was getting everything lined up to get those upper control arms back in position. I hope you can understand kind of what I was doing. I didn't really have a commentary going as I was just kind of winging it, but you saw I kind of used a combination of jacking up the axle and using the little ratchet strap to kind of rotate it rearward, and also using a Phillips head screwdriver to put through there and kind of turn it to get it where I needed it. And I also used a long bar to kind of put between the axle and the little contact area that hits the bump stop. I kind of used some leverage like that to rotate the axle as well. So the last and final step would be then to put the Jeep back on the ground. Make sure you tighten back up your shocks, that upper shock mount. Make sure you tighten the rear bolts, the forward bolts, and put your little cap back in the side as well, just up in the wheel well for the access bolt. So that's pretty much it. I hope this helps you out doing your project, and thank you very much for watching. Make sure you check out my channel, hit the subscribe button. I'm always uploading new videos on how to do all kinds of stuff around the house with cars mostly, but a lot of subjects. So check it out. Thank you.